Good morning, everyone. What? Welcome to our next qualifier for the World Series of Free Enterprise, the 2v2 races. Today we have Simbu and Moonblaze Wolf making the Mighty Quacks, and Area 72 and Dragon Dark making We Know Bagu. I'm Tirasu, and this morning I am joined by Smapedy. How are you doing?
Doing just great, Tirasu. Really excited about this 2v2 match. This has been an incredibly popular category here ever since it was sort of introduced casually a few months ago. The popularity of this has just really taken off. And this has probably been some of the most exciting and just enormous turnout for a World Series of Free Enterprise match that we've had over the course of the leagues. This has been really fun to watch. I'm really excited to see how these teams are going to split up the duties of checking and looking for things. And even more exciting is it looks like we've got an Edward start today.
Edward start's always fun, especially if you can find that spoon very early. Looks like today we're going to have a total of 19 teams competing, which besides these two on.
And yeah, important to know that even though we call it 2v2, it's a little bit of a misnomer. It's 2v2, v2, 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 and going on all the way up to looks like 19 teams today. So that is almost 40 people here, all racing in pairs, looking to get just one guaranteed spot that is available at the end of this race. It's going to be the winner of this will be going on to our final 2v2 table, as well as two wildcard spots up for grabs for people that get close enough based on Z-scores. So it's going to be a very fierce competition here.
Oh, most certainly. The races have been very close and very tight. A lot of good runners have turned out for these.
Yeah, absolutely. What is interesting about the 2v2 flag set is that it is the V1 variant, which means that we have to forge the crystal. You can't just find it. You have to find the legend sword, and you have to find the adamant, and then get underworld access so that you can forge it. You then, of course, have to have access to Zeromus, either through the darkness crystal or the pass. So there's a lot of key items that need to be found. Of course, our teams get to coordinate with each other over voice chat so that they can, if they find certain items, they can talk it through and everything like that. But we do have key items in every possible location this randomizer rollout. Key items are in their normal locations, they're at summon boss locations, they are at lunar boss locations, and even more frustratingly, they are in trapped chests throughout the dungeons. So there's a lot of ground that needs to be covered, so coordination is absolutely key between these teams to make sure that they are most efficiently checking every spot. It looks like we are ready to go.
Most certainly, we are ready to go. One other thing to note, there is no safety check. Their paths of the underground can be on the moon.
That's absolutely true. We have actually had a number of races this weekend and throughout the week where they've had to go through the moon before they can get to the underground. And that really tests your knowledge of the game and your ability to adapt. Looks like we've got Yang here. Yang has a lot of hit points, but not a lot of damage early on. Combined with Edward, who really does not do any damage whatsoever until you get some serious equipment for him. This might be a little bit of a difficult start.
It is a little bit of a rough start, and on top of that, they started with the samurai glove. Neither character can make use of.
Yeah, no progression given there. It looks like already everybody's splitting up. We've got divergent routes. We've got Moonblaze Wolf and Error doing a little bit of a classic strat here, staying here in Baron. You can see Dark Knight Cecil is available in Baron in there. Meanwhile, Simbu is headed over to Damsian while Dragon Dark makes the check in the Mist Cave, seeing if the Mist Dragon is hanging around there.
And it looked like it was a Golbez there, a really nice spot, because don't have to tangle with him, and he's not going to crop up and make your day really.
Yeah, it is always a good thing to see that Golbez early and out of the way where you do not need to mess with him. That's always a fight that it is fantastic to get away from.
And then King Queen Eblon in the Waterfall Cave. Unfortunately, that's a free fight, and you don't want to see that there. You'd rather see it somewhere on the moon or at a summon boss fight if
Yeah, so a little the rando giveth and the rando taketh away here. It looks like there was a samurai bow available for Edward there. That's going to really increase his damage. And Edge is on Mount Hobbs. That is going to be a fantastic pickup for our teams. Guarded by the Magus Sisters here. Shouldn't be too much of a problem. Looks like Simbu is dropping a Stardust item. That's going to one-shot the Magus Sisters, and he picks up a Ninja.
And I think I missed it, but it looked like Error had an adamant armor all.
Oh wow, that is fantastic. Adamant armor, especially picking that up so early, is such a nice thing to be able to fall back on. There are a lot of bosses that you can really trivialize with its properties as far as protection against statuses, and it's just massive defense. That's going to be a really really good find.
Oh, most certainly. And with that Edward, you can always have Berserk, Adamant someone, and then have Eddie just hide and trivialize just about most bosses.
Yeah, and finding Edge this early here on Mount Hobbs, that makes him a prime target for that Adamant armor.
Oh, most certainly.
So it looks like our runners are finding the pieces that they need in order to get through progression. It's just a matter of finding those items they need to actually get where they want to go.
Okay, so the adamant armor was in the grass and barren, and Zimbu, like you said, just threw that right onto the.
Yeah, adamant armor is one of those things you're really looking out for in a 2v2 situation. As always, the most exciting call out to hear from your partner when you're racing is adamant armor. Whatever you're doing, you drop what you're doing and you go pick it up.
As long as it's convenient. I know my partner a couple times has called it out. I'm like, that's out of the way, and I'm on the moon and you're underground, and I'm not diving hook right. But early on, you definitely are going to drop what you're doing and go grab that adamant. Trivialize that early game, make your life easier.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Simbu going to be our first racer here to dive into Antlion Cave, especially on these T4 seeds. Antlion Cave can pay off with some very nice things. A lot of chests in there to check, key item to check. Very frequent early play for most runners. Zeus gauntlets there in the single chest room. That's going to be very, very good for Edge.
Always a great find. Increase that damage that you're doing. He also got a moon veil in the save room. That's another really good item, giving you a pretty much permanent dodge until it wears off, and it lasts a very long time.
Yeah, Moonveil against most bosses is kind of a I win button. If there's something giving you trouble and it does primarily physical attack, the Moonveil can really just kind of get you through and make sure that you're going to be A-okay in any given fight.
We see Dragon Dark now picking up their edge as well from Mount Hobbs, quickly making work of that Mega Sisters.
Yeah, went for a little different strategy from Simbu, was using Edge's ninjutsu instead of deal with it. Basically, almost as quick. Cindy kind of survived the first hit there. But that means he gets to hang out that Stardust for anything else that might be just a little bit tricky. Meanwhile, Simbu making short work of that Vivalis fight, but only gets a Dragon Shield.
Dragoon Shield could be useful later on, but seeing Vivalis at Antlion, that's a good feeling. Val, I know, can destroy Run.
Yeah, Volvalis in certain positions can just have such a massive amount of evade that it can be an extreme roadblock for our runners. So that is another one you really kind of are wiping your brow to see this early in the game before it can pose a problem. So with Golbez and Volvalis out of the way, those are two really nasty fights that thankfully are not going to present too much of a problem in the mid to late game.
Oh, most certainly. Looked like Arrow had a little bit of trouble with that Mega Sisters fight. Edge became charmed, does manage to pull it off.
And he will pick up a ninja for his team. Simbu heading over to Fabul here. And we'll get to take a look at who is sitting in the Fabul defense spot. Looks like Dragon Dark also heading to Fabul. So there. Oh wow, is that a vanilla Fabul gauntlet?
Gotta have at least one scoop of vanilla per seed.
So that
And
is going to
again,
be without any sort of multi-targeting abilities. This is going to be a little bit of a slog to get through for both Simbu and Dragon Dark. Not particularly difficult by any means, but definitely going to be time-consuming.
Error making their dive down into the Antlion Cave, and it looks like Moonblaze Wolf is doing the shopping spree for both of the runners, so they know where items are, so Simbu can just run and buy the items they need instead of having to search.
Yeah, this is a really decently coordinated effort here from Simbu and Moonblaze Wolf. Simbu's going to be stuck in that fight for a while. Gives Moonblaze Wolf plenty of time to make sure that he's getting plenty of information for Simbu. When Simbu gets out of that fight, he's going to know exactly which shops have which items here. So it's going to cut down on his own personal shopping time. That it really can't be understated how useful that early shopping spree check is by one of the players, just so that you know exactly what you need for the rest of the seed and where it's going to be.
And you're always looking for certain items like the hourglasses, specifically if you can find them hourglass once to help with some of those early trap chests. And of course, sirens and life potions are good. Star veils, as we see on Moonblaze Wolf, always an amazing find, especially if you run into a nasty wyvern.
Yes, absolutely. Because the K flags that we have on here, the trap chests can contain key items. Very, very often in these 2v2 races, you're going to find that there is progression locked in a trap chest in Eblin Castle. And sure enough, that's where Moonblaze Wolf is headed. Those hourglasses incredibly important to taking care of those trap chests at an early level.
And then also, you can use life potions on some of those enemies as you kill them to be able to get that extra experience, especially if you have to do something nasty like go to the moon early or have to dive the hook before getting mad.
Yeah, getting those life glitches on the 3 Mad Ogre chests in Eblin Castle can be a really big early boost to experience. And Simbu finishes up with the Football Gauntlets. Dragon Dark also finishing up here. Simbu doing some looting the castle. It looks like the king is offering up a Masamune today. That is a big, big find for Edge. That is his best weapon by a long shot. So that's going to be a massive help to their outgoing damage.
Oh, most certainly. And we see Moonblaze finds the first trap chest, the Lamia and Kitty chest.
Yeah, if you can't one-shot those Lamias, that can, those black cats, they can be a little bit of a pain with their blaster counterattack, or bluster, I believe, as it's translated in this game. Has a chance to one-shot your characters, but with that adamant armor out, you can be immune to any of that nonsense. So, not too much of a problem here.
On top of that, did find those hourglass ones. They are susceptible to that stop effect, meaning that they will not get their counterattack.
Right, you are. And Simbu is making the dreaded ordeals check. No one likes to do this, but with Edge as powerful as he is this early, this shouldn't be too much of a problem whatsoever. Does find Mom Bomb, though, which is a little bit annoying because that means that spot has a 9,000 extra HP you got to get through if you want to avoid the explosion. Not sure that they're going to be able to do that, but we'll see what happens here. Actually, with 1,500 damage going up by Edge, they might be able to blow through this.
Adamant did get that Masamune, should be able to power through Mamban fairly easy. On top of that, when they complete ordeals, they know where a Dark Knight Cecil is, who will now be a Paladin, and that's always a nice pickup, especially since the AA flag is on. Cecil won't affect your agility unless he's in the middle.
Yeah, right you are. I don't think I've seen any fantastic weaponry for Cecil just yet, but in a T4 flag, it's a T4 flag set, you always know that an Excalibur or Crystal Sword could be right around the corner. So Cecil's always an exciting character in this particular flag set.
Oh, most certainly. And you never know. You could always find those Excaliburs and throw them with Edge as well. Great throwing weapon. My favorite way to use them, at least.
There have many a Zeromus fight on T4 that have ended with a ninja yeeting a bunch of holy swords.
Simbu clearing that out. Meanwhile, Moonblaze taking on the 3 Mad Ogre chest.
Yeah, this is a good amount of experience. It's a little irritating since those ogres have a ton of HP, and especially if you have a mage-heavy party, they have a lot of magic defense, which can make them kind of irritating to get through. Thankfully, very physically strong team here, especially with Edge there. Shouldn't pose much of a problem whatsoever.
Simbu makes quick work of that antlion fight. Look like Era just found a Bahamut summon. Unfortunately, doesn't have Iridia, so that will probably just translate into more.
Yeah, an early Bahamut on Rydia can really power you through seeds like this. I know at least one of the 2v2 races this weekend that was a very, very powerful strategy. We haven't seen hide nor hair of her, and her usefulness really falls off late game. So don't think, I think you're absolutely right. We're not going to see much use of that Bahamut other than a influx of cash.
And Dragon Dark diving the trap chest in Tower of Zod just gets a hand axe for his.
Not the worst thing in the world, the hand axe, but yeah, you like to see a little bit more reward for your investment there. If they do pick up Cecil, that's a quick way to get him back row glitched, and it's the only way to back row glitch Kane if they ever come across him. But other than that, not a particularly useful item. And it looks like the Magma Key was at Ordeals, so we have Underworld access, but you have to make that the dreaded Ordeals play to get it.
Luckily, the Ordeal boss is nothing too terribly difficult. And other than Mom Bomb, a pretty quick fight, with Water Hag being the last one, that's a completely free.
Yeah, you kind of hate to see Water Hag in that spot. You like to see Water Hag in the Moon, possibly the D-Lunar spot, somewhere really, really tough, since that is one of the freest of the free fights that are available. It's got a storyline script. All you got to do is whack it 3 times and it automatically dies. But even still, it's going to make that really quick.
So now we have our underground access. Still looking for both the Legend Sword and Adamant as well to forge their crystal. On top of that, still going to want access to the moon, probably more preferably with the darkness crystal.
Yeah, one of the best things you can possibly do is get underground access and moon access relatively close to each other in these TV2 flag sets. Creates an opportunity where you can have one of your teammates go to the moon, one of your teammates goes underground, and you're making sure that way that you're efficiently covering as much ground as possible. Now that both teammates are effectively going to be going underground at relatively the same time, it's going to be very important that they coordinate their efforts, make sure that they're both checking different spots, getting as much of that territory searched as possible. This is really where we're going to see some pretty fantastic teamwork here.
And it looks like Simbu, before going underground, going to take on the Baron Town fight. Going to pick up that now Paladin Cecil and possibly another key.
Yeah, I really like this play now. Since you know you're going to be committed to Ordeals here, it is your gateway to. Might as well go ahead and grab that Paladin. See if you can get the equipment for him and make him a strong part of your offense here. Ooh, there's the Nope Noodle.
Ogo Pogo guarding the Paladin right after Pain Man. This is a nice early spot for the Nope Noodle, though. Gonna be fairly easy to take down, especially with an Adamant Edge. And just like that, Simbu already taking.
Ooh. You'll like to see that. Edge so fast with that Adamant armor. He gets 3 attacks in and takes down the Nope Noodle before he even gets his opening big wave off. That is a fast ninja there.
Gets rewarded with a Paladin and the package. Now, the package leads to a single boss and a character, and it's a very big time.
Yeah, with as many key item locations that are available in this flag set, you're probably not going to see any of our runners committing to that boss fight unless they really, really want the character. just because it is incredibly unlikely that even if it is demissed at the Kaipo boss, it's very unlikely that there will be a progression item locked behind there with so many other options open. But it's always going to be something that is going to gnaw at the back of your head until you see demissed that I've got this check available here.
Oh, most certainly. It's one of the most annoying checks to just have sitting.
And it looks like with Simbu checking Kaipo here, he might go over to Mist next and take a look at who's in the package. Nope, doesn't look like he's interested. He's getting right back in the Enterprise and heading down to Agart to open up that Magma key there.
And meanwhile, we have Error gets their Magma key going straight off of Ordeals, probably going to head to Baron. Meanwhile, Dragon Dark is doing the Baron fight. I don't think they've done Ordeals yet. Yeah. So they're going to pick up a Dark Knight Cecil in their package, probably rush to Ordeals now that they know that that's where the Magma.
Yeah, and this is one of the things that is kind of indicative that this is a 2v2 race. Dragon Dark is doing this fight knowing that he's going to have to do Ordeals because of the knowledge he's gotten from Error. So it's kind of interesting how you can like adjust your routing based on the information you get from your partner and do things that you wouldn't ordinarily know that you have to do, but now you do know because you are sharing information with your 2v2 partner. Really changes the dynamic of how you route these encounters.
Dragon Dark makes very quick work of the Nope Noodle as well, and Error going into their Nope Noodle fight. Again, with Adamant Edge, this fight's fairly trivial. It's such an easy spot, at least where they're...
Yeah, this spot has about 4,000 HP and not a terrible amount of speed. Ogopogo is normally a very frightening boss because it is fast, it hits hard, and it always opens up with 2 simultaneous big waves, which is going to cut your entire party's HP down by half. It follows that up with some very, very strong attacks, and it counters anything magical with a blaze attack, which cuts another quarter HP off of your entire party. But with an all-physical party at that kind of speed in this particular spot, not a problem whatsoever for these runners.
Almost certainly, and they do have 3 very fast characters at this point in time. Edge, no slouch, and that adamant armor adding more agility to the ninja.
And Simbu looks like is starting the underground shop checks here. He's our first runner on stream to reach the underground. And he's going to check Dwarf Castle here for any treasures. A lot of hidden chests and things available in Dwarf Castle. On T4 can be a popular place to look for some high-end gear here.
Oh, definitely. They also check the item shop, which contained the Bacchus wine, a very amazing item, especially in later fights where you can berserk those DPS characters and just have them take control out of your hands and be able to get them to attack more often.
Yeah, when you have a heavy bruiser team like our runners on stream have right now, that berserk status, the effectiveness cannot be understated. It just has so many benefits as far as the way it interacts with the ATB system, the damage bonus you get from the berserk status itself. It's just an incredibly useful item to get those Bacchuses. You always breathe a sigh of relief when you find them in the shop.
He also found illusions in Tomra. That's another fairly good item. Adding the blink status to the character that uses it can be very useful against a heavy physical.
Yeah, it's important to note that we haven't found any mages or anything this team yet, so we might be more of a reliance on J items that provide status effects and buffs that normally your mages would provide. These melee fighters can do it themselves with those items. Which can spell the difference between having to skip a check and having to complete a check. So really, really interesting to see how this plays out. We've got Simbu going in through the Fame Arch here. There is a free chest to check here that has a key item in it, and 2 bosses that can be fought, each one having a key item check as well. We'll see how much he's able to complete here. Ooh, a Stardust Rod. That is a fantastic item if he ever finds a Black Mage.
I have the seed wanting to call for a Palom right about now. A Rosa would also be an amazing addition to that part.
Yeah, certainly. And of course, Fusoya is a great addition to any party. Every party likes Uncle Mop. Ooh, just some diet food in that free Feymarch chest. Nothing doing there. Been a little light on key items so far, it seems.
Very light. They've only found a grand total of 2. Now, the thing about the Feymarch bosses, those spots are very tough, especially for low-level characters. And if the right boss is there, you could really get into some serious.
Yeah, I did miss which chest it was in, but Simbu has found an Avenger. We were just talking about that Berserk status. Avenger is a sword usable by Kain or Cecil that automatically applies that Berserk status. It is a fantastic sword to use because you're effectively having double damage whenever you have it equipped. And since it is an auto Berserk status, it can't be dispelled by things like Black Hole. You don't have to worry about reapplying it or anything like that. So that is a very, very useful find there.
They also had a crystal armor, so you can put that crystal armor on and then have the Avenger and still be able to put Cecil in that Berserk status, which is a great thing to have. Usually most runners will sell the crystal armor if you don't have an Avenger sword because it makes you immune to.
Yeah, it's a very, very useful item interaction there to know. So we'll see if Simbu is going to be taking advantage of that. Yeah, it looks like he is back row glitching his Cecil right now and getting him set up.
Another interesting thing, you can take the Avenger sword and equip it during battle to force yourself into Berserk and keep the stats of the weapon you had previously. So, for example, Simbu is equipping the light sword. He can equip the Avenger afterwards and have the holy effect and the normal damage from the light sword, and then have the Berserk. Now, the Avenger is two-handed, so you cannot have a shield equipped when you are using it. Oh, the Avenger's in the Fame.
Of course, they can turn around and bite you in the rear if you don't know what you're doing, like I do sometimes when I had an Iron Lance equipped on Kain and switched out to the Avenger mid-fight and ended up having a Berserk Kain doing 50 damage. Not exactly what you want to see.
Oh, I just saw it on Dragon Dark's side. They have a crystal sword, and if they find that Avenger, that's going to be an amazing combination for.
Yeah, absolutely. That crystal sword gives a massive buff to all of your stats for Cecil. So being able to hold on to those stat buffs while switching over the Avenger and getting the auto Berserk as well, it's the best of both worlds there, and makes Cecil an unstoppable machine. This is sort of what we were talking about as far as T4 seeds being so nice to have a Paladin Cecil around, because you get to take advantage of things like this.
Almost certainly. Now, Simbu is taking on the D-Lunars at Leviathan spot. Going to make use of frog strats against.
And we have Moonfrogs. Only one Moonfrog. The second breath didn't get reflected to the right target, but that is still a massive benefit. This means that Edge can attack that frog in the back row with impunity. Does not have to worry about the virus counter because that frog is unable to cast it. The other D-Lunar is going to be casting virus on the frog, thinking it has the wall status up, which it does not. So this is a really good situation for Simbu to be in what can ordinarily be a very tough fight.
It helps really trivialize this fight, especially since, his levels are very low. If you didn't take advantage of this, it could be in a very bad situation. Simbu, forgetting that he has crystal armor on Cecil, tries to Bacchus Swine. Not going to get that Berserk status.
Yeah, the only way for Cecil to get Berserk right now is to equip that Avenger. It looks like that's what he's doing right now, so should be good to go from this point on. Just want to give a quick shout out here to, if you haven't played Free Enterprise in a few weeks, they just recently was an update that put in some more of the Fab flag color schemes in for a lot of the characters. I think that's Cecil color scheme is the Dawn of Souls Final Fantasy 1 fighter, I want to say, is what it's a reference to. But yeah, Scala Kitty, member of the community in the dev team, does a fantastic job on all of these alternate color schemes for the characters. So major props to her and the work she does to make Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise as much fun as it is.
She also does some pretty amazing sprite work for Zeromus. But yeah, my favorite of her new sprites has been the Terroridia. I'm not even gonna hide that one.
Oh gosh, yeah, Terraridia is pretty good. I've been getting a lot of Marl Rosa as well, which I'm a big fan of.
Moonblaze Wolf making an interesting play, going into Tower of Zot not Zot, Lower Babel fairly early. Going to check those 4 trap chests and at least 1 check since they don't have the tower.
Yeah, it's always a pain to go into tower without that tower key because you always know, well, as soon as I get the tower key, that's one more check I got to come back here for. But there are 4 trap chests in the lower Babel. Combine that with the boss itself, that's 5 checks. That is a lot of checks that are able to be made very back to back. The alert boss in here is very easy to take out in the trap chest. It only has about 1400 or so HP. So as long as you one-shot it, you don't have to deal with any of the things it summons. So these can be some very quick checks if you've got the burst damage to be able to get through the fight quickly. So I really, really like this play of deciding to go against the mental block of, well, I don't have the tower key, and we'll see if this pays off for him.
It's a very sound gamble. Simbu on that fire phase from the D-Lunars can be kind of rough, especially with how fast this spot is.
And meanwhile, Dragon Dark is making the check at Dwarf Castle. It's 2 bosses for 1 key item check, so it's one of the slower checks in the Underground. However, the added benefit is you do get an extra character, and there are some spots that can be filled on this team very easily, so this might be beneficial depending on what character is rolled here. And the Yang fight, particularly easy fight, especially if you've got Paladin Cecil. This is another one of those fights that has a storyline flag set in it. If you have Paladin Cecil and he attacks after the second kick from Yang, it automatically ends the fight. So that's why Dragon Dark is just sitting here waiting for that proper time. There's the attack, there's the ouch, and the fight is over.
Simbu takes down the D-Lunars meanwhile, and let's see what he's rewarded. The Baron Key.
And
That's
he gets
interesting.
Yeah. He gets a side quest for his trouble. We'll see if he decides to follow up on that and leave his partner Moonblaze Wolf to do the rest of the Underground while he chases that Baron Key, or if they just decide to go scrounge more than the Underworld and try to collect some more things before they go off in any of those tangents.
Now that Baron Key also can lead to another character and a total of 2 key item checks for 3 bosses. 1 boss at Odin's spot, and then 2 for the King Room trash can.
Yeah, Simbu is an incredibly talented player of this game. It wouldn't surprise me at all if he was doing the math and knew he was exactly where he needed to be damage-wise. That would not surprise me in the slightest.
On top of that, Simbu has a whole bunch of guides out there. If you ever have questions, definitely take a look at those guides. They are extremely helpful.
Yeah, Simbu's been doing a lot of work as far as helping us understand more about how agility and agility manipulation works on specifically on Zeromus. So definitely some really interesting information out there. Dragon Dark finishing up with Dwarf Castle here, and we're about to see what Giot's got. It's the Twin Harp.
Ooh,
so
can we get some music? And I believe he got a Rosa as well, which is amazing for this party. Does learn the Berserk spell, and on top of that is a powerful white mage with good HP for the Zeromus fight when you get her leveled up some.
Yeah, absolutely. There are very few parties that you can put together that you wouldn't want to have a Rosa around for. So Dragon Dark probably feeling like this was a really, really good play here. Got a potential follow-up item for another potential key item check, and got the best white mage in the game. So yeah, definitely got to be feeling good about that.
Another nice thing that Rosa comes with, she has that aim command. Oh, Simbu finishing up his Leviathan and gets another Avenger. But as I was saying, Rosa has that aim command. So with a bow and arrow, if she is not in that middle spot, you can use aim and guarantee that you're going to hit. It maxes out your accuracy.
Yeah, it makes her really, really nice with bows. It can be extremely useful in the early to mid game when you might be hurting for a little bit of damage. Rosa can put out a surprisingly amount of damage with a solid bow in her hands, especially if you find something like heroin armor for her that gives her a massive agility and strength boost.
Simbu deciding he is going to follow up on that Baron key while Moonblaze Wolf continues to search through the underground. They did find the Legend Sword. I believe that was on the ball.
Yeah, I did miss that, but yeah, it looks like based on what it was the Legend Sword at the top of the tower. So yeah, that tower gambit really paying off for Moonblaze Wolf. That could be a deciding factor if a lot of people decide not to make this tower check without the tower key. They could be missing off on one half of what they need for go mode.
And just a quick shout out to our tracker, Algier Brap. I hope I'm saying that right. He definitely corrected us and said it was definitely on the boss. The rest of the tower was a.
Yeah, huge shout out to our whole restream team here. Algebra doing the tracking here, keeping all the things, lighting everything up, and making sure we're all knowing where we stand. And we've also got Legend Harvest handling the restream today, which is a enormous undertaking when you've got a 2v2 situation going on. Because you have to play both restreamer and DJ Mixmaster, making sure you get background music not interfered with all of the talking back and forth between our runners. So huge shout out to them for really making this restream possible here.
Almost certainly. Without their help, these restreams are not possible. Did see Error was taking on the trap chest in Fey March and didn't get anything for it. Looks like they're going to nope out of doing the Fey March bosses for now.
Yeah, not a particularly kind set of bosses there, so I do not blame Error one bit for not wanting to take those on just yet. Of course, we know from Simbu that they don't pay off specifically with they don't pay off immediately as far as progression goes. There was the Baron key up there, which we're going to find out here from Simbu if that ends up being the play to make. There's 2 key item checks to check here in Baron Castle. We've got the King and the Odin spot. There's a free character, and there are also a ton of chests that can be looted as well if you're still looking for gear. So Baron always a solid option to pick.
And he does run into that plague fight. Not the worst fight in the world, especially if you kill off a character and bring them back. We also have Error making their climb up the lower Babel. Going to eventually be rewarded with their own Legend Sword. Moonblaze Wolf gets that Rosa, and they're going to be fighting the Elements fight. Missed that earlier on Dragon Dark.
Yeah, not a particularly dangerous fight here. We've got very low HP spot here, and the elements themselves don't do an enormous amount of damage, so shouldn't be much of a problem whatsoever. And I do get a chance to look. It looks like that is the Wonder Woman palette for Rosa, which is pretty fantastic, honestly.
Just another one that Skull Kitty really did an amazing job on. Of course, all of her palettes are really amazing. And we see D-Mist at the King spot.
That's pretty big. Baron already a pretty strong play as far as having 2 key items. That's going to add an extra key item check for downing D-Mist. So all of a sudden, this Baron play is starting to look stronger and stronger by the moment.
Certainly looks stronger, but with how many checks there's still left in the game, this play could end up still backfiring.
It absolutely could, but depending on what character they get here, it could be worth it, even if all of these key item checks end up being busts.
Even if the character is just meant to take an extra hit. And it looks like that's a Porum, a white mage on Simbu's.
So that's pretty nice. That means that Simbu's got access to a white mage without having to do Dwarf Castle. Porum, kind of a lesser Rosa as far as overall stat spread and general usability goes, but a white mage in this team is always welcome, so I don't think Simbu's going to be too upset by that.
Never upset with getting a Porum unless you've already got a Rosa, but still, like you said, a white mage, always amazing to have. Those healing, especially in the Zeromus fight, pays dividends when you level.
And we're going to make the long stairway walk down here, hold our breath, and find out what the key item is going to be. It is a pink tail.
If they find the hook, that's another adamant armor. We see Moonblaze now diving the Sylph Cave. That's 7 chests plus the Yang chest. Our demist item today is going to be the Earth Crystal.
Oh my
a little bit
goodness.
more.
The rabbit hole goes deeper. So now Simbu's got a decision to make here. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes and chases the Earth Crystal. Well, no, he's going to go check that Odin spot, it looks like. One of the benefits of doing Tower of Zot is that it kicks you right back out at Baron. So if he were to do the Earth Crystal first, it would kick him out at Baron, then he could immediately go in and check Odin from there. But looks like he wants to get Odin out of the way right now.
If the boss is beatable, Odin a pretty rough spot, especially early on.
Yeah, there are a number of fights we haven't seen yet that can be cheesed with relative ease. We haven't seen Dark Imps, I don't believe, Baron Guards, Kaipo Guards. So there are some really good fights here that you would love to see on the Odin spot to make this more or less free. We'll see what we get here today. Ooh, Asura. Not exactly the easiest fight.
If he has a mute dagger in his inventory, that could be a fairly quick. But I don't think he has one, so maybe set up the Star Veil and make Asura heal him instead of her.
Yeah, it looks like that's exactly what he's doing. He's got the Star Veil out on edge. Probably throw another Star Veil next turn to get that Reflect out on Asura. That temporarily takes care of her healing, so those Cure 4s aren't going to reset the fight. They'll instead do some healing to Simbu's party. Still got to deal with all of those counterattacks, though, and if the Reflect ever wears off and she gets a heal off on herself, that could be devastating. But with the damage output that Simbu has, with any luck, that shouldn't be a problem.
Meanwhile, we see Moonblaze Wolf diving harp. I hope everyone wants to not be able to hear the music today.
Yeah, unfortunately, with the way we have to set up the 2v2, we won't be able to get to hear the music. Hopefully, Moonblaze Wolf will check the harp and show us what song we're missing out on here today.
Yeah, just the unfortunate thing is because it is a 2v2 race and they have to record their voice in the VOD, you're going to hear them talking and trying to commentate over the streamers talking to each other. Not the Error taking on their Calbrinia fight, hoping to gonna get rewarded when they finish this with that Legends.
Yeah, now this can be a little bit of a scary fight with this team setup because you do not have really anything outside of ninjutsu in the way of multi-targeting abilities. So you've just got to make sure that your ATB is synced up properly, that you're quick enough to get those attacks off in sync so that the Calbrena doesn't have a chance to form at the end. Looks like he has no problem with that, gets his Legend Sword, and he's going to be out of there.
If I saw correctly, I believe Error used an Hourglass on the Calbrenia. Now, the orange Brenias in the front are immune to stop, but the Cals in the back are not. And then Brenya has a lot less HP. Use that Hourglass, kill Brenya, and you're going to be rewarded with Cal not being able to form the Calbrenia boss fight. And Simbu finds the Sand Ruby.
So Odin, not particularly paying off. I can't recall if anybody checked the bed in Kaipo, so I'm not sure what character is there. Um,
Odin at the Dark Elf for music.
and our tracker algebra app coming in here. It is Kane on the bed, so a potential. Let's see if Simbu picks up Kane with the 2 Avengers that he has. I would be kind of tempted to do it. It's a little late in the game, so it would take a little bit to get Kane back up to speed. But yeah, it doesn't look like he's interested. Going right over to the Earth Crystal instead.
With his current party setup, the only quote-unquote weak link would be Edward, and even still, the chance of finding a spoon could lead to making Edward very, very powerful.
Yeah, Edward is the sort of character that really shines in the hands of somebody who really knows what they're doing with him, as really proven by the Edward percent category that we just ran last week. Simbu, one of those players who could really make Edward, for lack of a better phrase, sing. So it doesn't kind of doesn't surprise me to see him wanting to keep Edward around. Looks like Moonblaze Wolf got an Excalibur for his efforts in the Cave Magnus there. I don't believe he's found the Crystal Sword yet, so that's going to be his best equipment for Cecil, and a fantastic sword to use with the Avenger glitch.
Oh, most certainly. Simbu finding their hand axe at the Flame Dog chest and finishing up their walk up the Tower of Zot.
And meanwhile, it looks like Error is going to be doing the dreaded Sylph Cave check. I know, at least in my own personal 2v2 races, it's always a who draws the small straw as to who has to check Sylph Cave. If you don't have access to the float spell, this can be kind of a nightmare to get through, especially if you don't have multi-targeting abilities to deal with the many multi-enemy formations that you have in here. It can be a bit of a drag, but with 7 trap chests in here to check that all could potentially have a key item you need, it is an absolutely necessary check to make.
Almost certainly. Now, one of the trap chests in the Sylph Cave is that ghost chest with 6 ghosts. One of the nice things you can do is their first opening attack is fire 2. If you have a mute bell, you can mute them and they just lose their first.
Yeah, it's a really, really nice use that's been discovered kind of recently for those mute bells that usually would just go completely ignored in these flags. That really kind of shows the creativity of the community coming up with uses for everything here.
All right, first boss at Zot was Bahamut. Simbu makes very quick work of it. Moonblaze Wolf looks like they're going to scramble some eggs to get some level.
Now, this is really interesting on Team Wino Bagu here. Error and Dragon Dark are tag teaming the Sylph Cave here. This is actually a pretty smart way to approach this, because Error is not exactly in a great position here. He doesn't have access to float. Doesn't have a dedicated white mage. Cecil is the one doing the healing. So by splitting up duty on this and approaching it from different angles, that's going to limit the how much of it exactly Error has to check. And they should get done with it a lot quicker this way. I really like this sort of teamwork here.
And on Simbu's side, gets a mop and a Quake Kid.
Wow, we were just talking about how this is such a bruiser-heavy seed here, but there's where the mages were hanging out. They've been in Tower.
And of course, Simbu takes both of them. Quake Kid, an amazing black mage, learns Nuke relatively early. And then Fu, as he kills more and more bosses, though it looks like his Fu's already full powered. And that second fight in Tower of Zot is the Dr. Luge fight.
Yeah, one of the big advantages to taking both Fusoya and Palom here is the way the slingshotting XP works in Free Enterprise. Since Palom is going to be such a low level and Fusoya is such an enormously high level, until Palom catches up, Palom is going to be getting a multiplier to experience. So Palom should catch up with the rest of the party in relatively short order.
All right, Simbu finishing up that Earth Crystal check. Let's see what he gets rewarded with. Artemis bow.
Oof. It's a good bow, but after that huge chain of key items going through and just nothing ends up paying off there. Always kind of heartbreaking to see.
His reward was a total of 3 key items, which gets him ever closer to that nice sum of 10.
Now that is very true. It's when you have duties split up in a 2v2 like this, it can be kind of hard to reach that 10 key item threshold that you need for double experience. So this is a good position for Simbu when he inevitably does need to get his character some levels for that Z fight. It's going to put him closer to being able to nab that double bonus. So that is a very good point there, Tiraso.
Simbu doing a little bit of magic management. One of the cool things and one of my personal favorite things in Final Fantasy IV is you can rearrange where your spells are in the menu.
The Earth reward was a Artemis bow supremacy.
So right now we have 3 runners that were checking out the Sylph Cave. As far as I recall, I haven't seen much from.
We do have the Darkness Crystal on Error. I believe he found that in one of the trap chests in Sylph Cave. Darkness Crystal seems to hang around in Sylph Cave quite a bit, so that is the next big step for our runners, is that moon access there.
If it's not the Darkness Crystal, it's always some sort of progression that you need. Or, you know, a gigantic rabbit hole. One of
And Error finding the last trap chest in the back of Sylph Cave here. It is another one of those ghost fights. Going to throw out a mute bell here, it looks like, to... I'm not going to throw an hourglass out, it seems. Might not have those mute bells, so... Gonna have to sit through the Fire 2 animation, sadly, but I'm sure he'll be glad to be done with the Sylph Cave here. Looks like Dragon's Arc is doing the Sheila 1 check. And gets a Dragoon Lance. Well, we know Kane is available, but probably not going to get too much use out of that.
I don't know if they're going to really do that sequence to find the Kane, though a Dragoon Lance on Kane is a very nice weapon.
Yeah, especially if you end up having to do that King Ryu grind and you do not have access to the weak spell. That can really cut down on the time it takes to take those Ryus down.
Simbu now hopping into the Sylph Cave along with Moonblaze, gonna help get that cave done as quickly as possible.
So yeah, really interesting that we're seeing both of our teams here do a similar splitting up Sylph Cave strat here. Really interesting to see this from both of our restream teams here.
It makes sense to me, actually, if you think about it. Sylph Cave, you have to go in twice to clear it, sometimes 3 times if you don't have the pan. And splitting it up in like this makes this check so much faster, especially when both parties have float, so it's a lot less annoying.
Yeah, it's a very good point. It's not something that I had seen or much less tried before, but yeah, this looks like it's a very effective way to tackle this.
We see Error activating their Darkness Crystal, gonna head up to the Lunar.
See, it looks like Dragon's Arc is going to be tasked with finishing off the Underground here, while his partner Error is going to start moon spelunking. And we'll see how they decide to split up moon duties here.
Oh, most certainly. It makes sense. Split up those duties. Now, the other thing is, Error is also going to have another character up on the moon, be able to finish filling out their party. And on top of that, there is a lot of checks on the moon. 9 trap chests in the lunar subterranean, 1 on the lunar path, and I believe it's 6 bosses.
Yeah, not to mention the Darkness Crystal does open up that check on the trapped chest in the Giant of Babel as well. So that is a check that can trip up some people and really be trolling. If people decide to skip that one check and it's got something they need, it can really throw a wrench into some plans.
Most certainly. And they find a Tilla on the moon. They have done Mount Ordeals, so he will have weak if they want to do the King Ryu grind, but not the best character to find at this.
Yeah, of course, Error sitting here with only 4 characters in his party has no choice but to take the Tella. We'll see if Error gets some decent use out of Tella. He can, like you said, he's done ordeals, so Tella does have access to his full complement of spells, which gives him at least some usefulness there. And if nothing else, he makes a phenomenal agility anchor the Zeromus fight.
Well, every character except for Dark Knight Cecil has their use.
Dark Knight Cecil has a fantastic use. It's to show how good Paladin Cecil is by comparison.
I will give you that one.
Error looks like leaving the moon now after picking up the character.
Little interesting, but maybe he wants to do a little bit of shopping before going to dive the moon. I know the moon can be very rough and beat you up if you're not careful.
Yeah, he might have just been heading to the moon just to grab the character since he was low on characters and had those empty slots to fill. So that might have just been well, I've got the Darkness Crystal, I might as well fill my party out kind of play rather than a actual committing to the moon play.
Looks like they're going into the Dwarf Castle. I wonder if they're going to take on the bosses just to grab that Rosa, and that looks exactly like what they're doing.
Yeah, don't blame this play whatsoever. When you've got the team Error has really needing something like a white mage or something to complement those bruisers that he's got. So yeah, this completely makes sense from a standpoint of what Error's team is looking like.
We also have Simbu and Moonblaze Wolf. Both have their Darkness Crystal now, so both have their moon access.
And Dragon Dark is making that dive into Cave Magnus.
All they're going to get rewarded with is an Excalibur, and since they already have that Crystal Sword for Cecil, not really going to pay off except for an extra throwing weapon for Edge later on.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if when Dragon Dark does this, if he just safe scums out, or if he decides to hold on to that Excalibur to give Edge an extra thing to throw. I don't think he has access to the exit spell. Just looking at his team, he does have Rosa, but he hasn't done Zot. So, yeah, he would have to manually walk out of here to leave at the end.
Most certainly. And it looks like Moonblaze Wolf now going to go pick up their Paladin. Little late, but with heading to the moon, that Paladin will slingshot very quickly. He comes at level 1.
Yeah, not going to take much effort at all to get Cecil in fighting shape. And with all of the gear Moonblaze Wolf has found for Cecil at this point, it doesn't surprise me at all that he would want to add him to his party here.
Error finishing up their Dwarf Castle, rewarded with that Rosa. And we see Dragon Dark getting ready to take on the Dark Imp. I wonder if they're going to get the cutscene skip.
And Edward, come on, Edward, hit yourself harder. It Looks like he might get to skip the weak portion, but it's gonna have to sit through the elemental barrage here.
Gets to cut at least half the cutscene out for the fight, so not too bad.
Ooh, Simbu here is going to give us our first peek of the Troya Vault with that Earth Crystal in hand. Let's see if there are any goodies in here.
That is a lot of treasure, and him being the only one that has the Earth Crystal on our restream is an amazing boon, or it could be an amazing boon. Sometimes you just get nothing.
Looks like we got a Strength Ring. Switching over to Fusoya for a little bit better luck. Can hold more items in that beard of his. Some decent things. There was a Strength Ring, an Elixir, a Rune Axe. Looks like those were the real big treasures in there. Nothing too game-breaking, but could be worse.
Could certainly be worse, but not too bad of a find. Error going into the giant looking for that last arm chest.
Yeah, we'll see if this ends up being a worthwhile check. Could also be another series of side quests here. We don't have the. I don't think we've seen the Luca key. We haven't seen the Tower key. So this could end up just giving him a bunch of side quests to check as well.
Could also lead to the hook, which has, what, 2 more trap chests to check?
Yeah, and we know that the pink tail is in play. Era doesn't have it, but...
But they did find the pan.
Now that is an interesting find. That is 2 additional checks right there. So we'll see if he immediately goes to make those checks.
Since you found that, I would probably go check it out. It's not the worst set of checks to do. You run down, you hit Yang on the head, and then you run over to Sheila. It's not awful, and you don't have to do any fights. So,
yeah, absolutely. And looks like Air is going to swap airships out and do exactly that.
Simbu gonna make the same check, while Moonblaze Wolf going into Bahamut Cave, gonna start a little bit of a King Ryu grind.
Yeah, definitely a good place to grab a few levels on your characters here. And then he can pop up, take a look at that, who's sitting on that Bahamut spot, see if he wants to take it on or not. So yeah, this is not a bad play whatsoever.
And I believe Dragon Dark now diving down the path that Error went to get their Darkness Crystal.
So yeah, it's starting to look like, I think we have seen every possible check planet side at this point, as far as the overworlds and the underworld. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we only have moon checks left to make.
All that's left is moon checks. Now, that doesn't... We haven't gotten everything from the overworld because they're still blocked by some key items, but we've done everything we possibly can, at least across all those restreamed runners.
Yeah, right you are. There's always the possibility that you can get those side quest items and they're going to bring you back down planet side to have to make something like a check in Eblin Cave or Upper Babel, something like that from the hook. So that is always a possibility. But yeah, it seems like if the players want to progress any further, they're going to have to head to the moon.
It'll also kind of depend on what this pan leads to as well.
And we'll see if the Sylphs are playing nice today. Ooh.
I hear you like fetch quests.
we still do not have that at hook, so that rat tail is just going to be a burning mystery in your pocket until we find that hook. That is interesting now, because
Now,
we could have racers that go to the moon that don't make that giant check, and won't know about checking that rat tail, and if by some miracle that ends up being the adamant, that could trip up a lot of runners.
question in chat: what does using revive on a creature do? What it is when you use a life potion or life spell on a monster that you've killed, it brings them back to life. However, their vitality stat is set at 0, so they come back to life with 0 HP and die again, and you get the experience a second time.
Yeah, it's a very, very effective way to get a lot of experience, especially early on or in high value experience spots. There's a lot of spots in the moon that give a lot of experience, and so being able to effectively double that in some situations can really take the edge off grinding late game.
Moonblaze Wolf, I believe that's Baigen at the Bahamut spot. Not awful, but still, he does a lot of damage. I missed what the pan gave for Sheila too, so I'm going to be watching Simbu's side for that one.
Shout out to my own personal 2v2 partner, RPG Mel. We are the Bigen's Biceps team. This is our namesake here, so give a quick salute to our creature of choice here.
Ooh, the pass from Sheila too.
So now that is interesting. That is not a specifically required item, since we do have the Darkness Crystal. What it is going to do is make it quicker to get to Zeromus, and it might embolden Error to try Zeromus at a lower level, knowing he's going to be able to get into that fight a lot more quickly should he wipe. So it's I'm not sure if I would, knowing what he does about what that pan gives, I'm not sure if it would be worthwhile time-wise to go get the pan and then go turn it in at Yang and then Sheila just for that pass. I don't think that would be a time save over going through the Darkness Crystal, but it's definitely a convenience for Error.
It's definitely a convenience, especially if you've already done it. However, I don't think we'll see the other runners go out of their way to get it, because it is a little bit of a time sink.
Yeah, no one likes walking through the entire lunar subterranean, but I don't think it's going to be quicker to make that turn in just to avoid that. Somebody doing the trap chest in the lunar passageway, spot affectionately known as the hair dryers. This is a spot that can give you a lot of experience early on if you manage to get to it.
It's also not a terribly difficult boss or trap chest to take on, and Moonblaze Wolf gets the spoon from Bahamut spot.
And we have a finisher already in this race in Venerable, finishing with an incredible 1 hour, 5 minutes, and 6 seconds. GG to Invenerable. We'll see if we get a finish from their partner anytime soon.
GG Invenerable. That is very incredible.
And now that finish is in, yeah, we're going to see if this affects the routing of our remaining runners here. If they decide to go quickly try and check some of the more obvious spots here on the moon.
Seeing that finish, it always affects your mind. And what did they do? Where could those items be? Causing some interesting metagaming going on.
Yeah, it's just one of those interesting psychological things about being in a massive race like this. You're not just playing against yourself here. You're not just going for your best time. There are a bunch of people out there also gunning for those best times. When you see someone finish, you got to think to yourself, what are they doing differently that caused them to finish, and what can I adjust to my current plan to try to catch up to that.
see both Moonblaze Wolf, Simbu going straight into the lunar subterranean. I wonder if they're going to split it up, one going from bottom up and the other going from top down, or if they're both just going to rush to a certain area.
Now, Error just picks up the Baron key from the Leviathan spot. This might be disastrous. If he decides to chase that, we know that that leads to nothing. And it is a pretty substantial rabbit hole. Now, the big benefit to 2v2 is that he's not enormously punished if he goes down a wrong rabbit hole like this, because he'll have a partner that is doing the checks on the moon, which is where we know the rest of the sequence to finish this has to be. But that is still going to cut into their total time, looking for that last item, since it's only going to be one person on the moon instead of two people. And yeah, it looks like he is chasing that Baron Keys. That's very unfortunate.
Simbu takes a wipe, finds the Wyvern at Palladium.
Oof, always a nasty fight to run into unprepared. It's not a particularly difficult fight if you know that you're running into it. If you just get caught, with your metaphorical pants down, Wyvern is going to mega nuke you, and you're not even have a chance to belt yourself properly.
See Moonblaze Wolf heading straight for that D lunar spot. 2 checks for the price of 1.
Yeah, it's incredibly popular spot to check early on the moon because of that enormous amount of experience that you get for this spot, plus the 2 key items you get for getting it. Mylon Z, not a tough fight by any stretch of the imagination. Shouldn't have much problem at all dealing with this.
Dragon Dark finishes their Baigen fight, going to be rewarded with their own spoon for that spoon word.
Yeah, and definitely don't discount Spoonward here. He can put in an enormous damage on the Zeromus fight, especially considering Edward's absurdly high agility stat. He can run circles around Zeromus a lot of times and get in just so many turns, hitting for very hard with that spoon. He can be a significant source of damage in Zeromus.
Oh, most definitely. Spoonward. The spoon is the highest attack damage weapon in the game, and only because of Free Enterprise can the Spoony Bard equip it.
Yeah, it was a pretty clever workaround for making Edward just more reasonably viable, kind of catching him up with the rest of the team without really changing an enormous amount of how he plays, and still giving him that flavor. I think it was a really clever solution and just one of the really great perks of running Free Enterprise.
Error finding their D-Mist, and we know that D-Mist is going to lead to an Earth Crystal, just more into the rabbit hole and not going to pay off for them.
Yeah, and we'll see if Error continues to chase this rabbit hole, or if he makes a decision like, well, if Invenerable's already finished, then there's no way he could have done this rabbit hole, or has some sort of maybe thought along that path, or if he's like, well, I'm free to chase this. Dragon Dark's checking the moon. If this ends up paying off, then we can just double back and do that. It'll be interesting to see if he decides to keep chasing this.
Simbu did run into that double dragon chest, the blue and red dragon. Kind of a nasty chest, probably the second nastiest chest you can find in the lunar subterranean. At least in my opinion, it's the second nastiest.
Oh, most definitely. The big benefit though is an experience that you get from it. So at least you're well rewarded for your efforts.
Moonblaze going to their Ogopogo and finds the Dark Elf.
Now this is also one of those, well, not necessarily a free fight. It's definitely one you like to see this late in the moon. That Elemental Barrage is only a tier 2 spell, so it's not going to hit very hard. The big thing you have to worry about is the Whisper, which turns your characters into pigs, which is really a more of annoyance than anything. And of course, those weakness spell that drops down to single-digit HP, but with a White Mage on the job, not too big of a problem. And the big benefit here is that once you get it past its halfway point on HP, it's going to transform into the Shadow Dragon form, which does not have the boss bit on it. So you can do things like stop it with an hourglass. You can weak it with the weak spell to knock it down to single digit HP. You can basically have your fun with it however you want.
My favorite thing to do as a kid was always to weak the Dark Elf when it turned into the dragon because it was much faster.
Yeah, and it's a turnabout is fair play.
Simbu, looks like they're going to go to the Wyvern spot and check that.
And we have a Porcine Paladin here on WSoFE screen.
And Wyvern spot has the Dark Imps, a pretty much free boss, especially if you have hourglasses.
Yeah, and coffins as well. Those Dark Imps are vulnerable to instant death. Very common tactic when you fight them this late in the game is to coffin them for the death, and then throw a life on them to get the extra experience from them. So good way to get big bunch of experience. And it looks like we have a second place finisher. It is Zilch, Invenerable's partner. So Team Zen Achiever Ballin is going to be your first place finisher in this 2v2 qualifier. GG to Invenerable and Zilch. They have clinched a spot at the final table.
GG and well played. Another interesting thing, Simbu used stone on all the Dark Imps. They do not have the boss flag, so they are affected by it. And he is rewarded with the adamant. Simbu is in go mode.
Yeah, Simbu has got both pieces now. He just got to get back under, turn those in, and you're going to see Moonblaze Wolf booking it over to Wyvern spot right now.
And with his party, and I believe the levels he has with that pass, probably going to go Forge the Crystal and straight into their Z fight.
Yeah, I don't expect either of these players here to really need to do much. Well, yeah, it looks like actually. Oh, Simbu does not have his. Does Simbu not have his Legend Sword?
Simbu has not climbed tower, so he does not have the Legend Sword. Luckily, that's going to be a very quick and easy thing to do, especially with Quakecut and Fu going to be able to quickly wipe out the Calbrinas.
Yeah, this isn't going to be difficult or time consuming at all. Just a couple of minutes to climb the tower and get out.
We see Dragon Dark taking on the CPU fight, and I'm pretty certain that's at the Plague spot, the only boss we didn't see in the underground.
And meanwhile, Error is indeed chasing that early ahead to Tower Azat, and that is going to prove entirely fruitless. Hopefully, if Dragon Dark heads to Wyvern next, he should be able to do that before Error is finished with Tower Azat. So hopefully he's got a save outside that he can just kind of scum out and head over to the moon.
I don't think Dragon Dark has done D Lunar or Ogopogo spot. Probably going to do those first, which means Error going to end up finishing Tower Azat. Will be rewarded with a Fu, but...
Oh, yeah, very good point. Yeah, he has not done that. So, yeah, we're probably going to see those checks first. So, yeah, this is going to be, probably a full clear Azat here from Error. And fortunately, we know that is not going to provide anything other than an Artemis Bow. We have a third place finisher. It is Night Dew with a time of 1 hour, 15 minutes, and 45 seconds. So, GG Night Dew.
GG Night Dew. We see Moonblaze Wolf have their adamant, booking it to go get that crystal forged. Just around the same time, Simbu grabs the Legend Sword.
Yeah, and this is where things start to get really, really interesting. The the way the 2v2 works is that it is the combined time of both runners is used to determine your final time. So once a team has completely finished, every minute that you spend unfinished is essentially 2 minutes. And that is really, really important as far as getting that Z score that you need to get one of those wild card spots. So time is really of the essence for these unfinished teams.
Oh, most definitely. Now we see Moonblaze going to grab their crystal. Doesn't look like they're going to check the shop today, but they are officially in go mode. Going to have to make the walk of shame this time around. Did not get the pass, and it's not worth their time to get that pan to lead into it.
Yeah, just gonna go straight to the moon and go for it. Curious if we will see any attempt at a grind here from Moonblaze Wolf, or if he's confident enough to just go right into the fight here. Simbu is doing a little bit of omelets here. Simbu has the 10 key items though, so that these eggs do give double experience, but it looks like he wants to be absolutely sure before he goes into that fight. Simbu does have the pass though, so he probably feels like he is in a better position to get these couple of grind fights in because he can go right to the fight. So looks like that's what he's doing right now.
My guess is he's just grinding enough experience to get Palom with Nuke to make that Z fight just a little bit faster.
Yeah, that would be a really strong option. Then he could do those hybrid strats. He would have the melee damage, Edge, and Cecil, complemented with that reflected nuke damage from both Fusoya and Palom, would make for a very quick Z fight.
Dragon Dart starting to check trap chest down in the lunar core. Gonna be a little bit before they finally make it over to that wyvern spot and get their adamant.
Yeah, and I mean, you can't fault this play because this is, in normal circumstances, absolutely what you should be doing. Of course, we know better. The wyvern spot is the play to make. The benefit here is that these trap chests do give an enormous amount of experience. So he's going to be in a really good position level-wise when he finally does get that adamant, that he's going to be able to just immediately go to that Z fight as soon as he forges the crystal.
Oh, most definitely. Going to be able to make quick work of a Z fight as well with the levels they will get from these trap chests. Looks like Error is done with their rabbit hole and now heading to the moon themselves.
And we'll see where Error decides to start here on the moon. If he goes from the top down, it might be a while before he gets to that wyvern fight. If they go for a different kind of split here, one of them might stumble on it sooner than the other. We have a fourth place finisher, Couch 23, with an official time of 1 hour, 20 minutes, 5 seconds. So GG Couch 23. It's going to be a tight race between Nightdew and Couch's partners here. See who is able to finish up here and claim that second place spot.
Definitely want to finish as quickly as possible because unlike the rest of the World Series, there's only 2 Z spots or Z score spots available for grabs.
Right, yeah. Where we had 12 competitors for the rest of the World Series of Free Enterprise, we still have those 12 competitors, but divided them 2 here. So we're going to have 6 teams, 4 from the winners of the 4 qualifying events, and then 2 wildcards that go to the highest Z scores among the finished racers. So yeah, very, very essential to get just as high just as good a time as you can, as close as possible to the winners of the race to try and get on that wildcard bubble.
Error finds the wyvern. Gonna have a bad time, I think.
Yeah, Alexa, play Megalovania because that is definitely a bad time.
And Wyvern doing what Wyvern does best when he catches you off guard. You get a mega nuke to the face.
And it definitely takes a good bit of mental fortitude to come back when you're already kind of scrambling to try and find that last thing. You know it's got to be somewhere here. You don't know exactly where it is. Run into a fight like that just stomps on you and just kills any momentum you might have had going for you. Really really good to be able to just pick yourself right back off and jump right back in there. So major props to Error for wasting no time and getting back in there and keeping checking.
All right, Moonblaze Wolf on their fight. So whose butt are we going to be kicking today?
It is. Speaking of Megalovania, it's Azramus. Not exactly the right song, but the right game.
We now have a 5th place finisher in Bleachy with a time of 1 hour, 22 minutes, and 49 seconds. GG.
To answer a question that was in chat from Mithril Curry here, what's the strap behind switching swords? So the way the game works is it effectively snapshots your stats and the stats of your weapon when you enter a battle and holds on to that. If you change weapons to something that is going to put you into the Berserk status, the Avenger Sword specifically, what it does is it never actually updates to the Avenger's stats. So if you have something like the Crystal Sword, which gives you a major stat bonus to all of your stats and a huge attack power, and you switch to the Avenger, you maintain the stats of the Crystal Sword while having the auto Berserk property of the Avenger. What's nice about that is that the black hole that Zeromus casts isn't able to dispel the auto Berserk of the Avenger, so you don't have to keep refreshing it with Bacchuses or anything, and you'll be constantly in that Berserk status with effectively swinging a Crystal Sword the entire time. So it's a really nice way to take advantage of that property.
Meanwhile, we have 2 more finishers. Dimmerine at 6th place with a time of 1 hour, 23 minutes, 34 seconds, and Flurry 14 in 7th with a time of 1 hour, 23 minutes, and 56 seconds. GG to both of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are fantastic times from all of our runners so far. What's really interesting to note here is we still do not have a 2nd place finisher yet. All of these finishers have been individual members of their team, so we're still waiting on one of their teammates to finish and claim that 2nd place spot.
Interesting note, it's still based off of time, so even if one of the say the 3rd place finisher teammate finishes after another one, they could still technically take that 2nd place spot.
Yeah, it isn't over till it's over, and it isn't over. Your teammate hits that bell. Yeah, there have been a number of times where people have been able to snipe positions by just a matter of seconds because their total time was faster than someone who finished before them.
Dragon Dark on their Wyvern fight with the Dark Imps, finally going to get that adamant, and we're going to see Error as soon as they hear that, going to book it right over there.
And we have our 2nd place team, Midboss, finishing with an 8th place with a time of 1 hour, 25 minutes, 25 seconds. That's going to give Team IRS a total time of 2 hours, 48 minutes, 14 seconds, and claims 2nd place for them. GG.
GG and well played. Dragon Dark got their adamant, and we see Error immediately booking it straight to that Wyvern spot. Dusty Griff also finishing in 9th place with a time of 1 hour, 25 minutes, 36 seconds.
Actually, yeah, correction, Supremacy corrected me. That's right. That is not... Forgot what I just said about positions here. They're our 2nd finisher, but we could have a team that finishes with a faster combined time. We'll see as all these finishes come through here.
And Simbu taking down the Z fight, coming in. They come in 10th place with a time of 1 hour, 26 minutes, and 14 seconds. GG Simbu.
Yeah, GG indeed, and I don't think Moonblaze Wolf is going to be very behind. In fact, yeah, they're and really close back-to-back finish by Team Mighty Quacks here. Simbu and Moonblaze Wolf finishing right behind one another, and it looks like they have a combined time of 2 hours, 52 minutes, and 47 seconds. Oh boy, this is going to be a nightmare to parse through here. It looks like that's putting them in third place right here. Team Ogopogo Outback, I believe, is in second place right now. No, excuse me. IRS is still in second place, it would appear.
We had a couple other finishers while we try to get Simbu and Moonblaze in here for a interview. JDP, Dusty Griff's partner, finishes in 11th place with a time of 1 hour, 26 minutes, and 28 seconds. We also have Silverfire finishing in 12th place with a time of 1 hour, 26 minutes, and 32 seconds. These times are, just literal seconds apart.
Yeah, the floodgates have opened as far as the finishes go, so it's gonna be a little bit before these the dust settles and we get to see exactly where each team stands here. But major props to all of our runners here this morning, doing a fantastic showing and putting forth some really fantastic times here.
Meanwhile, we see Dragon Dark making their way to the Z fight, taking their walk of shame. They have their crystal, and Era going to go forge their crystal right now.
And I believe we are joined here with Team Mighty Quacks. It is
Moonblaze Wolf.
Yeah, there's Simbu.
And Simbu. GG to both of you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So Simbu, what did you think of that Baron key play? Got you a lot of key items, but no real progression.
I mean, at that point, it was do Sylph Cave without a source of Quake or anything. We didn't have very much to do it well. I didn't even have a white mage to cast float, so I wasn't doing that, but I got a white mage and eventually got everything else from it, but unfortunately it wasn't where value was.
It did eventually lead you to a nice Foo and Quake Kid, part of your namesake, so that's not the worst thing ever, but Darkness Crystal ended up being in the Sylph Cave.
Yep.
Speaking of the Sylph Cave, that was one thing I wanted to ask you to. We noticed that you did like a nice sort of split up here between the Sylph Cave and sort of each tackling half of it. Is that something that you normally do? Is splitting up the Sylph Cave?
I mean, we literally didn't have anything else to do at that point, so it was just kind of by necessity, I would say.
I mean, we do know how to do it when necessary, but it was just one of those situations where that's what we had to do, so.
I mean, I guess the one thing I would say looking back on that seed is it was so light on key items at that point. I can see why other teams would want to maybe aggressively attack Sylph Cave with the 7 trap chests, but man, I really like our chances if it was at Baron or Zot or Twin Harp or any of the others. Like, I checked Cave Bahamut first, and I mean, if it was any place like that, I mean, if the Darkness Crystal had been any place on Earth other than Sylph Cave, I really like our chances.
Yeah, absolutely. Plus, nobody wants to go into Sylph Cave when you don't have, good multi-targeting capabilities. Float is kind of hard to come by. Like, that's just kind of an extreme slog. So no one can really fault you for that.
Yeah, I mean, and we definitely talked about it after I found Rosa at Dwarf Castle, but it was like, well, I've got this check that I can do right now, or I can grind a bunch of eggs with less than 10 key items just to get float and do Sylph Cave. And it's still going to be super slow because I don't have any multi-target anything. So it just felt like a really bad position to be in. And I guess if we had made the other choice, it would have worked out better. But still, I mean, I don't know. That's an awfully aggressive play to just kind of go after Sylph Cave like that. And I can't imagine any of the other teams were in a significantly better situation than we were based on where the characters were.
Yeah, absolutely. Just based on what we saw on stream, you weren't alone. The other restream team, I believe, went into Sylph Cave at just about the same time you did. So they were putting it off till after all the other checks as well.
Yeah, that's just how it goes sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. I did want to ask this for all the fans in chat right now. I believe it was Moonblaze Wolf. You made the harp check, correct?
I did, yeah. It was a very good song too.
What was the music for chat? We have to know.
It was Final Fantasy VIII Eyes on Me.
Oh,
that would have been awesome to hear on stream.
Well, chat, I would have sung along if we could have heard it, but we didn't. So sorry, chat, you missed out on that.
Can always rewatch my VOD if you want to, or anybody's VOD, I guess, that was running the race. I was trying to be quiet and attentive and listen, although I didn't sing along, so.
Well, did I have any other thoughts on this seed, or anything else did you want to share? Are you going to be competing final tonight?
Yeah, we'll definitely be here tonight. I mean, all I can say is sometimes you find the right path and sometimes you don't. This time we were just a little bit slower than the other teams getting to the right path. Though I have to say I'm very proud of my Crystal Sword kill. I'm very proud of doing the refill skip with the Crystal Sword.
Yeah, that was pretty impressive. We were was looking up and was like, wait, is Simbu done already? That's what.
Yeah. Meanwhile, in my Zeromus fight, I took the time to move the Adamant onto Spoonward, and he couldn't even survive the first nerfed Big Bang. So GG's Edward.
You know, sometimes Spoonward pays off, and you know sometimes he just wants to take a nap.
That's just the nature of the game.
Yep. So we'll give it another shot tonight. Really want to kind of defend our Twin Invitational title if at all possible, but if not, it's been a really fun World Series, and I don't think either of us is going to have any regrets.
Definitely. Well, yeah, GG's to both of you. You played fantastically. Always a pleasure to watch. So good luck tonight. Now, thank you so much for being Restream today.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
GG, and see y'all later. Meanwhile, we have our other Restream team finishing up. Dragon Dark finishing in 22nd place with a time of 1:34.14, and Error finishing with a time of 1:34.30. GG to both of them. Let's see if we can get them in here for an.
Yeah, GG indeed. Really turning that around quickly and finishing. You know, based on getting stuck down that bear and key rabbit hole and everything like that, they were able to turn this around with remarkable speed and finish with an incredibly respectable time there. So definite GG to Team We Know Bagu here.
And during that first interview, we had a slew of finishers. Let's see. And we are joined by Error and Dragon Dark. GG to both of you.
We should really stop checking rabbit holes.
Yes, rabbit holes are not our friends.
Yeah, was gonna ask you how you feel about that Baron key, because if you're not the only people to fall down that trap.
I don't know, because I was about to go check Moon, and then it's like, oh, I better check Giant first after I check the character and decide that I don't want to go without a white mage And so I went back, checked Giant, found the pan, did all the pan stuff. It's like, hey, we haven't killed the Leviathan spot yet. And I'm gonna do that first before I head to the moon for good. And you know the rest. You watched it.
Yeah. So was that what the that initial moon check was when you got Tella and then immediately came off the moon? You were just kind of looking at White Mage there.
Yeah, I feel like I could have maybe gone without it because I mean, in T4, 0 White Mage strats are kind of common, just like what I did there. Like I didn't cast the heal with Fu. I didn't need Rosa for that, so I kind of regret that a little bit, but.
Yeah, but at the same time, it wasn't exactly the sturdiest party. Like, you had Edward there. So, I mean, making a dive into the moon without someone like Rose on your side, like, especially when you knew Rose would fail in Dwarf Castle, I really can't fault that at all.
Plus the fact the spoon was on Bahamut, and I was the one who found that, and he wasn't going to bother checking it. At that point.
Spoon is always nice to find, especially when you have an Edward, but doesn't always pay off in the end.
I mean, it was great for me because I still had Edward. I hadn't found anybody else to replace him with yet. I'd been trying to kill him off for a bunch of fights, and I get the spoon. I'm like, I'm gonna stop killing him off. He's good now.
Most definitely. So, besides the rabbit holes, any other thoughts you had on the seed?
Crystal Sword Avenger and all the Avengers.
Yeah, you gave chat a really good clinic in how to utilize.
Yeah, I had like a stack of 4 Avengers. It's like, Edge, please start throwing these so I stop having inventory management issues.
Yeah, sometimes you just got a backpack full of swords and there's nothing to do but hurl them out. I did want to. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I mean, Cecil throwing out casual 8,000 plus hits on Zeromus with that. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, ain't no thing. One thing I did want to ask, because we saw it from actually both of our restream runners, is when you did finally do Sylph Cave, you sort of tag teamed it, and you had both people in Sylph Cave at the same time. Was that just sort of out of necessity because that was all you had left to check, or was that sort of a premeditated plan?
That is pretty much because that's about all we had left to check. I had the twin harp to look at, I think, at the same time, but it's like I'll check one half, you check the other, we'll find what's in here, and then I'll go, and then we can figure out what to do after that.
Gotcha.
Sylph Cave just works so well for that because there's 2 completely different paths you have to take through it, so it makes sense compared to most other caves.
Yeah, precisely. Especially when you had such very different teams at that point. Error, you didn't have Rose at that point. Dragon Dark, you did. So did that sort of like decide? Well, I'm going to go in since I've got all this healing. I'm going to go through the actual green part and go through the less green part.
Well, I went through the green part without a white mage, so in hindsight, we went the wrong direction.
Hey, you got to use that paladin healing at least.
We just kind of pick what path we were going to go really quickly. It's like, okay, you go that way, I'll go this way.
And just in the heat of the moment, that's sometimes what happens is don't think through, and then one of you with the white mage goes down the easier path. Quote unquote easier.
I mean, I still had to burn a ton of cure 2s just getting everybody healed back up because Rosa had yet to have float.
Yeah, she never seems to learn it fast enough to actually be useful.
I know, right?
Well, are you the 2 of you planning to compete tonight in the final qualifier?
Yep.
I think so.
Awesome. Well, best of luck. Thanks so much for agreeing to be restream. It was an absolute pleasure getting to watch the 2 of you. And best of luck tonight in the final qualifier. Hope you do well.
Thank you. Also sad Dragon Dark beat me by 16 seconds.
That would have been a lot more had you not found that pass.
Well, that was pretty fantastic because both of the restream teams finished within 20 seconds of one another. So it was really awesome seeing that those sync ups there. It's some excellent teamwork.
GG, and looking forward to seeing y'all tonight in the final qualifier.
And I think that's going to about wrap up our noon qualifier here for the Enterprise. We do have one more qualifier here tonight at 8 p.m. We will not be restreaming that one, but definitely check out all of the runners here tonight. Many of them are going to be running in the 2v2 here tonight. All of them are super entertaining to watch, and watching their personal streams is going to be a great way to get to hear that team communication chatter going on between the two of them. So definitely give them a follow. Also give a follow out to our entire Restream team here behind the scenes, doing fantastic work. Our Restreamer Legend Harvest, giving you the tunes, making sure everything ran smoothly, and our tracker Algebrop, just doing a fantastic job of keeping everything up to speed here. So definitely give them all a follow, and thank you so much to them for making this possible.
Thank you for joining me today on Commentary, Smapedy. And it looks like we're going to have a raid over to Dravenheart, who is still running this 2v2 qualifier.
Yeah, show them some love, and thank you very much. Been a pleasure, Tirasu, and thanks so much for watching, everybody.